Uh,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Flow from Om School Live. We are here with GP Walsh, Master Spiritual Teacher, and student me, Lisa Berry. And energy, energy
ooh.
flows. And when it flows down the right channels, when the natural channels, I should say, no judgment here on energy, you know, when energy does flow down its natural channels, we call that health. But when it gets disrupted or just stops or just, it's not flowing, we call that illness, disease, suffering, stress, all of these things. And so today we are focusing on how to, I don't want to say allow it, GP. We're not allowing the thing, but we are not preventing. We're no longer making it be stuck and stay stuck. And we are trying to attain health here. So today's show is all about this. It's about different emotional energy techniques. A question,
Yeah,
GP, to start off right away.
yeah.
I just said emotional freedom. And it's funny because we're talking about energy. Are emotions just pure energy?
Everything in its essence is energy, right? And and we don't even know what that is. That's a nice word. Oh, everything's energy, right? What the hell is energy? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. That's a fact. Remember, in science, um, energy is a unit of measurement. It's not a thing, right?
Yeah.
And there's this. It's there's this fundamental something. You want to call it a substance? When we think of substance, we think of a thing. I mean, we used to think that everything broke down to these little billiard balls, really tiny little billiard balls, right? Then we split the, oh no, they're not, and it kept on going until literally there's nothing there. That all form is diverse and is as manifold as it is, just seems to come out of nothing. And this nothing is what we have called energy, right? Because energy has two states. It has potential and kinetic, right? And but if it's all pure potential, right? There's nothing here.
Yeah.
Something has to happen. Something has to come into existence, and then you realize the potential for it to come into existence existed. And now we can measure it. Now we can measure it, but you can't measure the potential. So we just conclude that it's infinite,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Just when you're saying about you brought me back to grade 10 science here, kinetic energy and potential energy. And I immediately remembered our lovely elastic band, how when we pull it, there's it's stored, it's there, it's waiting.
Yes.
And to me, that automatically, just because we're talking about emotions and illnesses and health, I feel like I don't know if this is correct. Kinetic energy is that stored energy, which we're not liking in our body because it's stuck then. But potential energy, I don't know if I loving either because that means we don't yet have it. It's in the future and it gives me anxiety. So is when we're talking about energy techniques for our lives, for our health, for what, if it's flowing in the right channels, um, is this, if it gets stored, is it automatically always bad? And if it's potential, is it automatically always in the future possibilities and good?
Well, no, because obviously the potential is here because there are things here. Stuff did happen. You're
Right.
here, I'm here, the microphone's here, the screen's here, right? That's the evidence of the potential. The potential means it can be anything, right? There's no limits on what it can be, right? But in this moment, this is what it is, or you might more accurately say, this is how it appears. Now, 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 all form is this energy in motion, right? Nothing is solid. Everything is in a constant state of flux and constant motion. If it gets trapped in the human system, we call it a trauma. That's what a trauma is. The energy cannot flow as it normally does, like throwing a bunch of rocks into a river, right, or to a creek. Eventually, it won't be able to move. It'll back up until finally it overflows or it goes out sideways. And this is exactly what happens to us. We the energy gets stuck in some way and starts coming out sideways. It comes out in what we
So
call
true.
the shadow version, right, of
Right.
ourselves. It comes out as it, you get really pissed off about something, and the amount of anger you have is completely inappropriate for what happened, right? You stub your toe, and before you know it, it's a diatribe against all humanity.
Straw. Poor camel.
Or something goes wrong on your computer, and before you know it, you're spewing profanities everywhere. So you realize that there's something else that's reacting there. There's other energy that's trying to get out, and because it is by nature in motion, it's never liking being stopped. and so the whole thinking behind energy healing is, how do you remove the blocks to the natural flow? Because
Right.
everything is, you look around, everything flows, right? So why am I flowing?
Right. Now, when you say blocks, I really want to get a clear picture on this one, because I really was a person who thought chakras really were here, 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 and they exactly stayed there, and they spun around, and that's what they did. So
Yeah.
a block, if I have a headache, do I have a block in my head? If I have a sore wrist, is it a block in my wrist?
No,
Literally.
not necessarily. No. I mean, if you have a leak in your living room, the source of the leak may be the other side of the house.
Right.
It may be dripping in the living room, right? But if you just patch that a little bit later, it'll be dripping again, because the source is somewhere else. Where it manifests, right, it is not localized, because energy isn't localized. We can't think of the energy as being stuck in a particular part of the body. It's much more subtle than that. You've heard it referred to as the energy body, right? And then people talk about the chakras and the aura and astral bodies and all those kinds of stuff, which are nice ideas, right? But who cares? I mean, in its essence, the energy that makes a form, it doesn't, just like anything else, it's infinite like space. It doesn't it's not localized here, right? So can it flow? That's the only question. And any disallowing of it, any resistance to it, any assumptions you have and beliefs you have that simply don't let these natural things flow, can manifest anywhere, right? And remember, the energy system that you feel as your body is not isolated in your body. It's connected to this is one field of energy, right? And you and I are two different little little things popping up in this one field of energy, right? You could think of it as like this big blanket, and you got little hand puppets going up, right? They're all coming from the same place, right? And so everything is connected, because in essence it's all one. It's all coming from the same energy, which means that a block to your energy system can show up like people not showing up for appointments, your computer breaks, your car breaks, right? Your money doesn't come, a bill comes that you're not expecting. These are all manifestations, in addition to headaches and body aches and all the other things that can show up.
Is this one, I could be jumping, but is this why when we do energy work, tapping, perhaps one of them, which we'll talk about and define a little bit, and is that why we don't go to that one? I got a sore, I need to go to this and fix this. Like, it's not about healing this, because that is the source. Sorry, that's where it manifested. It's not the source.
Yes, that's where the symptom presented itself, but it's not the cause, right?
And the
And
cause is
if
trauma.
the premise is a disruption to the natural flow of the energy. That is the premise of energy healing. So when you're tapping, we're going to talk about it in a bit, what you are doing is giving fresh energy to that and consciously attempting to unblock it, right? And like in a blocked creek or a river, there's enough pressure there, if you get enough of the stone, you don't have to get them all. If you get enough of the rocks out of the way, it'll push the rest out of the way, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You just got to get enough.
Right. And then it works with you. You're like, okay, come
Yes.
on, work with me.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfectly natural. You take it out of the way and it flows. Take down the dam, and there it goes.
Right. Yes. Is there should we be careful, let's say, of taking the whole block right away, and all of a sudden it goes flying through? Is this a scare as well, or should we do little piece by little piece?
That there are techniques that try to have the Kundalini experience is one where that's exactly what happens, and it's way too much. The energy system, the body has not been prepared properly for it. And there are some other things that can happen as cathartic event. Back in the day, they used to do trauma release. The release was more traumatic than the trauma, so it can be done that way. But the energy techniques, at least the ones that I use, don't do that. It's gentle. It has to be gentle, and I combine it. It's a part of inner reconciliation, because there's an environment that has to be created. In order for this to take place, there has to be a growth and a maturity. There's a preparation of the whole energy system to get it to the point where it can begin to flow, right, without doing any damage. So, if you're going to take down the dam, you better move the houses out of the way first, right? They're down in that valley.
Yes. Okay. I love this. So, and that will bring me to the question where we gently lead into this, but I like that there's the energy body, the body energy body needs to be prepared for this new, that's the integration and reconciliation. And we did talk about it. So we've spilled the beans, but out of all the energy techniques, which is your favorite?
Yeah, that doesn't come as a surprise to anybody. It's, the emotional freedom technique. It's the simplest, it's the most direct, and at this point, it's the most studied. It's also the simplest to learn. It doesn't require years and years of training. Obviously, it takes years to master, just like anything else, right? But the effects are absolutely immediate, and it has actually been quite well studied and documented. And I'm talking about legitimate, scientifically valid, double-blind studies and the whole bit. And in fact, it does have profound influence on all sorts, everything that's been tested on, including phobias that were regarded as uncurable.
Right.
Incurable. Sorry.
Are we able to overpower and say, no, I want this block here? Or if we're not ready to release, if we're not ready, studied, proven, all these beautiful things. We do this technique that we'll go through and talk about. But can we override it and say, no, I'm hanging on to this?
Well, I guess first question is, the fact of the matter is that it's there because you are holding on to it. It can't hold on to you. It doesn't block itself. You block it.
Right.
And you block it by holding on to it. And most of the time it's unconscious. We don't know we're holding on to it. And most of the time it usually gets to something about our identity. We get very identified with being a certain way, right? I mean, if you're somebody with a particular kind of problem, you have it long enough, it begins to integrate into your sense of identity. It's no longer something that happened. It becomes me, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a person who wears glasses. I'm a person who has to walk with a limp or with a cane. We deny the possibility that doesn't have to be this way, and instead it becomes me. And if I've learned how to, Terrell, would you do me a favor and not have a private conversation here?
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. Thank you. That's not what this forum is for.
Right. Look at you
Um,
doing my job. Thanks, GP.
it's okay. So where was I?
Oh, wait, that was the blocking. So we're
Yeah.
not. I like this. Because I imagine we're not we're holding on to it, and so if
Yes.
we are holding on to the identity, this belief, and we're
Yeah.
blocking it, it wants to go. So it's then we have to consciously let go of it, or can it be subconscious letting go?
It's all look, it's always unconscious. I mean, nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, gee, how can I screw up my day today? I mean, nobody does that, right?
Right.
But anybody can experience it. Just think of something that you've always wanted and don't have, right?
Okay.
Just anybody think of anything that you've always wanted, but you don't have, right? And then notice how you feel about it. Just notice the feelings that come up in your body. You'll
Mm,
feel the conflict, right?
yes.
Now, why would I want something? And you look at it and you look at it consciously, reasonably. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not immoral. It doesn't hurt anybody. Matter of fact, it could help a lot of people. It could make my life better and other people's lives better. Why in the world would there be some conflict with
Yeah. Do we have to answer that? Like, would we know?
that? You wouldn't know, of course. Of course not. It would simply be a feeling of resistance of some sort. It can be very subtle. It can be, oftentimes, you'll find people can't even hold an image of what they want. It's just there and gone, right? That's resistance. Sometimes there'll be a clenching in your body that's literally resisting it, and you'll feel like that. Sometimes you get thoughts of, oh, that's stupid, you shouldn't want that, nobody needs that. Or one of my personal favorites, how are you going to make that happen? Oh my God, that's so hard, right? Those are all you're feeling the resistance that is the energy stuck in your body, because if there wasn't any, the thing you wanted would simply come, because there would be that flow, because the desire that arises is also part of the flow, and it's arising to fulfill itself. It's not a personal possession, right? So this is how the whole thing works, and this is why I'll do things like intentional triggering, which I just did.
Yes,
I'd
you
say
did.
hold something that you want but don't have, and that's an intentionally conscious way of feeling the unconscious resistance. Okay.
You did that with such love.
Now, sorry.
You did that with such love, though. I have to tell you that. You need to know you did that.
Well, you have to, because
Yeah.
because love is what is the only thing that works
Mm,
at at healing anything. Because if there's not love there, uh, then there's going to be a resistance, right? The
yeah.
defensive mechanisms are going to be on alert, right?
Mm,
Because it's yet, if it's not love, it's yet another attack as far as your nervous system is concerned. It's something it has to defend itself against. So that's why inner reconciliation, allowing, accepting things as they are, and when I do tapping, there's a lot about just accepting things the way they are, right?
yes.
And I don't want it to be the way it is, right? But you're first going to have to accept that it is the way it is, right?
Okay.
And
Yes.
stop fighting yourself about it, and become
Now,
instead curious about how it happened.
okay. And I would like to share that this is not a well, it could be, but generally it's not a sit down. I'm going to get this thing sorted out right now. I'm going to love it. I'm going to accept that it's here, love it, and it's going to be fine. Because I know that, including myself, there have been times where you think, gosh, I really do need to work with this energy work, and love it. But again, we need a guide. We need a teacher, because I know even times I'll sit there and I'll get lost in it. Then I'll end up attacking myself without knowing I'm attacking myself. And it's
Right.
subtle.
It's subtle. It's extremely subtle, right? Because even if you sit down to allow it, and yet there's this unspoken desire, I'm allowing it so that it'll go away, I'm not really allowing it.
Bingo. That's exactly.
And believe me, the energy system is smarter than that. You can't con it.
You can't call the energy system.
You can't sell it a bad car.
I have to write that down. That is so true, because but we don't even know when we're trying to con it. We think, no, I really am. I really do love being overweight, being broke. I'm accepting of it. It's God's will. I'm meant to be here with it.
I'm meant to be this way, right? Yeah, we have to, but it's not like. But here's what happens: that when the mind gets a hold of this, okay, that means I'm supposed to like this the way it is. No, that's also part of it. It's here. I accept totally that it's here, and it's here for a reason. I don't like it. I wish it wasn't here. That's also what's here, isn't it? Right? So the very acceptance of both of those simultaneously is what actually begins to take the defenses down, because you're no longer taking sides. I'm not trying to get rid of this or hold on to this or subjugate this or anything. You're simply acknowledging what is here, and what's here. I want this, but I'm not getting it, right? And there's a resistance to it. Both of those are there. And you'll find that oftentimes the way the resistance works is it doesn't even allow you to own the desire.
Yes,
right?
That's a big one.
I have to suppress that. I can't have that. And sometimes because it has been so denied, the desire has been so denied by the energy system, that it's painful when the desire even arises. It hurts because I know I'm not going to be able to have it. But if you really could get rid of it, then it wouldn't be a problem. Why can't you get rid of it? Because it's as natural as everything else. You didn't create your desires. They're arising naturally out of that same potential energy. It's all coming from the same place.
You said something so interesting there. And then what I am going to ask, because we are going to do a round of tapping, and if everyone here, because usually on the flow here, it's a show that we love when we welcome you in the beautiful audience here, and then we kind of take a look at the comments and questions closer to the end, and then weave them through. But so I'll let everybody think about this now. If you want to type in something that you would like to work on, and we'll gather a theme around it, and we'll do a tapping round with it. When you said about we don't create our desires. Sorry, that was a super attention catcher, because a lot of times people say, well, what are your goals? What are your desires? What do you want? And I find this frustrating, because I think, well, so many magical things can happen. I don't want the responsibility of pinpointing one tiny little thing. So many other things. So just on our thing. So if we don't create our desires, so a lot of people say, well, I didn't want this disease. I didn't want to be broke. I didn't want to go through a divorce.
All true.
Right.
All true.
So it's interesting, because a lot of times we hear in the communities that, well, if we are responsible for creating the situations in our life, but we didn't create our desires, now I'm feeling like a battle going on in my brain.
Yes, that's correct. If we recognize that it is the way the energy is flowing in through and as the system, and whether it's flowing in its most natural way, or if it's restricted in some way, right? All happens very early on, right? These things get put into motion. So yes, your underlying beliefs that you're not conscious of are creating all the conditions of your lives, but you didn't create those beliefs. These beliefs are simply reactive patterns in the nervous system that got put into place to deal with the environment before you had any ability to participate in the process. So when I use the terms like beliefs, I'm not talking about the head beliefs. Those can be changed through reason, right? The underlying energetic assumptions can't. They aren't reasonable. They're irrational, right? They don't care about what we would regard as a fact, right? This is simply the way it is, right? Because it assumes the world to be so much in such a way. This is the way the world is. And that was a conclusion drawn when the experience of the world was in fact that. And it happened long enough that it just said, this is it. It adapted to it. And now that whole adaptation is so deeply ingrained that the suggestion that the world may not be that way completely puts it totally on defense, because now what the hell am I going to do? It doesn't want the world to be any different, even if it's better.
Right. Okay. Oh, we're going to have to do a show on all the different types of beliefs: mind belief, reasonable, facts, truth, and energetic assumptions. But just to, if I want to spit back my reality check here, is so I work with people who lose weight, want to lose weight, have lost weight, gain weight.
Mhm.
So if there's an energetic assumption of, and believing that the reality exists this way, and they gained weight because of that, if they then, because I've witnessed this so many times, change that. Okay, here's a perfect word for word example. Somebody was in a very unhappy relationship, gained a lot of weight, relationship ended, lost the weight. Now, I'm not suggesting that people use that as a diet. Don't just bring that. But
It's simple. It's my method is so simple. Just get divorced.
in the world. But because that reality no longer existed, that she needed to have that weight for any of her reasons. Is that why? So her world changed, her environment changed, and there was no longer a need, and the energetic assumption says, hey, we're safe to do that now.
Correct. Yeah. She was not able to, in the relationship, she was, for whatever reason, she was clearly not able to flow. Right.
Right.
And then that just tried to compensate itself through emotional eating. Right. And, a resistance to exercise, or all those kinds of things, because the motivation that comes with the loving relationship wasn't there. She wasn't motivated in herself, wasn't motivated in the relationship. So she gets out of the relationship, and all of a sudden, all of this stuff starts to flow again. And at that point, she wants to be attractive now, right? Whereas in the relationship, she didn't want to be. For a lot of people, especially for women, who've had some bad relationships, and they're kind of giving up on the whole thing, or they've had just a lot of really bad experiences with men. They don't want that kind of attention, right? If they've been harassed or something like that, they don't want to look good. Why? If all it's going to do is bring these these hounds out of the wood, right? Yeah, forget it. It's not worth it.
Right. Yes. And so, yes. And some people, Amanda sharing that she loses weight with stress, and sound came back on. I just saw that really quickly. Thank you here. That everybody can hear us, and creative revolution is back. I just want to touch on the fear of the unknown. So if we believe we're in a world, and now our energy body is responding to this world, but then we have the potential of another world, and the flow. What if we're afraid of that? Well, is that ego? Is that the identity thing sneaking in there?
Well, the ego is a secondary creation. The reaction to the environment comes first, and then that assumption about the nature of the world, of course, is also an assumption about me in that world. Right? The world includes me. Right.
Oh, yes.
So the world is nothing more than my relationship to everything. Right. And so my view of the world and my view of myself are continuum. They're completely interrelated. You can't have one without the other. Right?
Oh, that was huge. That was so huge, because you're right. When we think of the view of the world, we're thinking view of the world. Oh, it's you, it's them, it's this, and it's all this. But hey, wait a second. There's another energetic assumption. Is everybody catching that? That was fun. It's like, oh, wait a second. I'm in the world. What do I think of myself in the world? So our self view, do we require acknowledgement of self-love in order to have energy techniques be effective?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's why in EFT, that in the setup statement, it always ends with, and I love and accept myself.
Yes.
Totally love and accept, or say, I'm open to loving and accepting myself, because that's the magic ingredient, right? Um, you have, there has to be an environment of acceptance. And that environment of acceptance creates the inner environment of safety, and it is the environment of safety that releases stuck energy. Nothing else will do it. And there is nothing more safe in the universe than love. It does not need a defense against love. So they all come down. It's so it's so simple. But self-love, self-acceptance, we always put a caveat on it. Just as soon as I've lost the weight, made the money, done the thing, then I can love myself. There's always these prerequisites to self-acceptance. And the last thing we want to do is accept ourselves the way we are right this moment, just as you are, warts and all, flabby thighs and all, right? If this is where it has to start, that's where it has to accept it, because that's genuine love. Love is unconditional. That means you don't have any prerequisites. You get it because you get it. You don't deserve it or not deserve it. It's just there, right? Like air. Do you deserve to breathe? I don't know. I just breathe.
That's not fair. He has enough air to breathe, and then I. Right? There's not, yeah, that's funny. I like the air thing. So if we could, and I would love to start here. There are people who I have family members that cannot even start that, like that I accept myself or love myself. There's like they
No.
can't even do that. So how could we, with tapping, everybody? So emotional freedom technique, we are tapping on points that are, I want to say, like acupuncture points.
They are
But
acupuncture
they're
points.
meridian points. So we're not using needles, we're tapping, we're just saying, hey there, we're
Yeah.
energetically saying hi. Right? And then offering, we are offering words, but we're feeling the energy of the words. We're feeling, and that's why
Mhm.
we get have resistance to some of the things we say or not. And we know if they're true. So as we're tapping, we really want to say things that are true, right? Not true.
Yes, even if they're unpleasant.
Right.
And the point you made about, people, there's a lot of people that can't say it, right? And you can feel it. And I love and accept myself anyway. You can just feel it. So, and I'm open to the possibility that maybe someday I could love and accept myself, right? Or you can just say, I fucking hate myself. I
Right.
hate me. I suck. I'm the worst thing that ever happened. It kind of freaks some people out when I do that, but I will do that because when you're tapping, right, it is a very visceral thing. These are comfort spots. The body has associated these with comfort. We do it, right? If I'm worried, what I do this, right? Or I'm
Yes.
doing this, right? If I'm surprised, what I do, I go to there, I do this, right? If I'm thinking about something, those are all points. Every single one of those. The body touches it automatically because it says safe. I'm safe. And remember that the limbic system, the mammalian system, the feeling part of us is like 1,000 times older than the cognitive part. It's 250 million years old. We've been feeling, right? So when you do this, the mind doesn't think about it. The mind isn't saying, "Oh, look, I'm safe." The body is getting the message, "I am safe." So if at the same time I'm saying, "I suck. I'm the worst thing in the whole world. I'm a horrible human being. I'm a waste of air." Even though at an energetic level, that may be the assumption, all of a sudden, here's what happens inside your body. It's voicing this assumption while in the environment, it's detecting safety. The environment's changed. And it will very naturally try to reconcile those two things. And in a very short time, you'll find yourself laughing at the extremity of it. And that's why I will be that extreme about it. So instead of just saying, well, I kind of don't like, I hate my guts. I think I'm, if you really get extreme about it and put it right out there, voice your worst fear honestly, right?
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, I'm safe.
Mm.
I suck and I'm safe. And you'll feel this begin to happen. Because remember, the energy system, the whole nervous system, is a completely adaptive mechanism. That's why human beings are so successful. We are one of the best at adapting. We're not the best. There are some that are better. Frogs and toads and salamanders, by the way, because they can live in all sorts of different climates, more climates than we can. But nonetheless, um, it is that capacity for adaptation that has made us so successful. That's what the nervous system does best. It adapts. So if you give it a different environment, it will immediately begin to adapt to it. Just like you take down the dam, the water will flow and it will fill in wherever it's natural for it to do so.
I think that was brilliant that you said that, and I think everybody. I would like to repeat it and share this, that because I, even as a small child, feeling and having a safe family, and that I was able to share with my little imagination. Little Lisa would go crazy, and then my mom and dad would eventually come. What are you feeling? What are you afraid of? And then I would, they're gonna hate me at school or something, right? Whatever. And then as soon as you say that, then they kind of look at you and go, really? And you can, you're right, is it does. Or have you ever, anybody watching here, have you ever had a best friend, and you're so worried that maybe you've said something that hurt their feeling, and you conjure up all these thoughts like, oh my gosh, she's gonna think that I said that or meant this, and then when you finally come to them and they think, oh, don't be silly, like of course I wouldn't treat you like that or think that about you, and then you're put at ease. And it's so, as what you're saying, I love this, is that when we voice that worst concern, right? I'm horrible, I'm terrible, is that the environment, we don't have to consciously think about it. The environment will either subconsciously, energetically say, no, you're not safe, so keep doing this, or no, you are safe. That feels a little bit off now. Let's
Exactly. It'll happen all the time. Somebody say, I just can't do it. I just can't be a success. Nothing ever works for me. And after a while of tapping, I'll say it again. Nothing ever works. How true does it seem? Oh, it doesn't feel so true, right? Right? Because the part of you that assumed that came up with a reason why I am the way I am, right? Suddenly, because it's in a different environment, says, well, maybe I'm not like that. Maybe that's not actually true. And with enough safety, it begins to question its own assumptions that it can't do when the environment is the same that created the assumptions.
I love that. With enough safety, the assumptions start to question themselves. That's beautiful.
Yes.
That's where we want to be.
That's why this is such an easy process, because you're working with the system as it is. It's the Tao. You're working with the Tao. You're working with the way things are, right? But we're so ignorant of how things are. We have these ideas. Well, I won't get off into that. Do a whole show on that.
Yes. Well, what we'll do really quickly, my little recess bell, and I had like this nightmare that last night that I forgot totally, and the show was over, and I forgot to have recess, and so and actually, it's a very simple recess commercial break, and that is just to share that GP has a beautiful, beautiful emotional, energy technique course, and I highly recommend it to everyone, because we're talking about it now. We're going to go through some examples, but to be able to really, I'm going to say, submerge ourselves into it and hear other people's, because on the hours of recording that's in the course, we get to hear other people and what they're going through, and then we can tap along, and it works for so many. Like, we can hear somebody's completely different issue because nobody has the same issue, no same blockage, resistance. We're going to deal with them differently. It still works. It still helps. And so I love, and I should have checked the name of it, but I think it's Power of Touch. Oh my gosh. It's that particular one. And
Yes, the power of touch. That's the free one. Yeah.
that's the free one. That's actually my very, very first ever course of listening to GP. I was having a gallbladder attack, and I I wanted to fix it. And I wanted to fix the gallbladder attack, nothing else, just that. And
Just
then I
that.
quickly learned that that wasn't what we were doing. And here I am. Nope, I'm good. Gallbladder still intact, all happy. But that is just a beautiful introduction. They can try that free one out and then move upward to some of your other beautiful courses. So I just wanted to commercial break that.
Well, thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for that. And yes, I try to design everything as from a total beginner all the way up to somebody who's ready to coach others professionally,
Yes.
and everything in between. And it depends on how far you want to take it.
Exactly.
So the the nature of it is it's just very simple, and like you said, it never manifests the same for any individual, but the underlying cause is always the same. It's a stuck energy because it wasn't allowed to flow, because it wasn't safe to flow. It's always the same.
Yes. Yes.
The technical term for it is trauma, right? But what it really is it was not safe to be yourself. It was not safe for the natural flow of energy that is you to just flow. So it had to hold back. It had to be restricted. But of course, it wants to flow. You can't stop being you, right? And so this is where all the tension is. If I express myself and I get hurt, the energy system goes, well, I'm not letting that happen anymore. Bam. And it concludes that that's the way the world is. So you'll find this stuff, that happened to you at 2 or 7, right, actually influencing your life at 42 or 57.
Yes.
But it's so distant. It's so underground. What the hell's the matter with me? What's going on? I can't. And there's nothing wrong with you. This is the way it works. Right?
Yes.
But you have to create a different environment. You have to create a different environment.
Yeah, it's time to create a different environment. I think this is so beautiful. I can feel all this coming in. And I didn't get to ring my bell, so I'm gonna do it one more time at the end of because this now signifies around the time that on the flow here, live, almost go live, that now I can get to. I try not to get distracted by comments. I almost don't even look at them while we're doing it. And then now is the time
Yes.
I sneak on over and catch up with some questions and comments. And that's one thing I wanted us to do, GP, is we'll pick one theme, which might be this very basic one that you just said, how to change the environment. Maybe that's what we're going to tap on right now. How do you even begin? How do you know? What do you do about changing the environment? But I am going to come here and self-love. Yay. Amanda, welcome, Amanda. And Terrell is new, as he shared. So welcome, Terrell. We've got I like new people. New people are fun. And got happy tapping away. We got this one. Okay, good. So acceptance. They're perfect how they are. Boost metabolism with B12, basic tones. We you know what I always say, shrink, shape, and stay. You go. And little things are so helpful. 10 seconds here and there, everything adds up. Even if how long do we need to tap for in a session? What's reasonable amount?
As long as it takes. There was one guy I worked with. It took 15 seconds and it ended his insomnia that had been going on for a decade. Right? Other times it can take multiple sessions over hours. You don't know, right?
Okay.
You just have to let the energy lead. When you're taking the rocks out of the river, you don't know when that final rock is going to. Now the force is enough to do the rest. You just don't know when it's going to happen, so you just keep going. What else are you going to do?
That's right. Like Jenga. Take a block, you put it on top. Well, don't put it back on top. Lisa does say here, though, how to work with deep beliefs. I think we're addressing that, though. I can see that they are not real, but I'm still triggered.
Yes. You're seeing that they're not real here. Right? What you don't understand is that to the energy system, they are real. That's why I will voice it as if it were true. And I've even had people get up and leave during my some of the workshops I've done live, because they don't want to hear it, because they think somehow, oh, I don't want to let that thought in. I said, madam, that thought's already there.
Right.
But that's part of the conflict. I'm going to try to disown these, and if I disown them enough, they're going to go away. But they don't go away, right? The energy system itself, which is the functioning of life, it needs to see that that the environment is different and that it is safe now to take down the defenses. It isn't enough to think it. This is energetic. It's the body. It's
We have to
right.
create
So
a safe
yes,
environment. That
yeah,
is the key. That's
an inner safe environment, an environment that, and even trying to get rid of the beliefs is sensed as a threat to the system, because they're part of the protective mechanism. Right?
right.
So now, what happens if you know you if you're talking to somebody and they keep disagreeing with you? Oh God, that's not true. No, you can't. You shouldn't be believing that. I mean, how open and receptive are you to them?
You feel
But
attacked, belittled, stupid.
if you
Yeah.
if you say to somebody, "Oh wow, no, I see. Tell me more. Why do you feel that way? Where did that come from?" You open up, right? So why don't we do that to ourselves? Because we've never been taught to do that. We've been taught exactly the opposite. And all self-help, personal development, law of attraction is all about trying to force a different view into the system. And the system is way smarter and stronger than you. It's perfectly defended against whatever you can throw at it.
Yeah. Oh,
So what do you do instead? Right?
you've taken all these things to such a new level, a different level, which we needed to, because I think so many of us stay on that surface. And you're right, we're like, but this, and the recognition even that it's not. So if I'm afraid of spiders and I try to say, don't be afraid of spiders, I can't just not be afraid of spiders, because I'm
No.
protecting myself from spiders because they're dangerous. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And they feel weird when they're walking on me.
Yes, and I really do. And really, I'm not afraid
Yeah.
of spiders. I'm afraid of being bit, and I'm not afraid of being bit. I'm afraid of being itchy. And so, really, it comes down, like, so. There's all these little things that come through here. But do we have something that we can specifically tap on? Let's see here.
Well, there's money.
Yeah, yeah. We're
Yeah.
coming to Christmas, the
Susanna
holidays.
asked about money, weight loss, stress, anger towards men.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anxiety. Well, geez. Okay. Money. And you know
Anxiety.
what? Money is an anxiety thing. We're afraid of not being safe, not having enough, not this.
Well, money in our modern world, money, safety, and freedom are all intertwined. And I'm going to be doing a workshop specifically on that, because they're all associated together now. If my life depended on me, planting stuff or running around with a spear, I wouldn't think much about money. The spear would be important. My
Yes.
shovel would be important, right?
Footwear. Run around.
Yeah, my footwear, yes. My ability to run would be would be important. But when all I do is hop in my Tesla and drive off to Whole Foods, then it's money.
Right.
So money has become integrated into the entire our natural mechanism. So we have to find the relationship with it.
Yes.
So
There's one
is
question.
anybody? I bet everybody here has got some money anxieties. I bet
Yes.
everybody here has some money anxiety. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine the situation in which you don't have enough money for what you need, or it's looming, or your mind says you don't have enough, or you may not have enough, or right. And of course, right now in the time of COVID, and people in their jobs and things like that, they want to. A lot of them don't even want to go back because the job sucked in the first place, right? So I want you to just really pay attention to that. If you want to, close your eyes, right, and just bring to mind the situation of not having enough money. Right? Now that's I don't want to do that. It'll become more real. No, it won't. It's already real. It can't get any more real. Okay.
I'm guilty of that thought too. Not thinking about it.
So instead, just allow yourself to feel that. Instead of fighting the anxiety, that feeling in your body, let yourself. It doesn't do any good to fight it, does it? It's never, ever gone away because you've been fighting it. So it's really kind of a lame strategy to begin with. So just feel it instead. Just give yourself permission to feel it. And notice that you don't want to feel it, and that's okay. Notice that too, right? This is the yin yang. This is the stuff going on. Now just notice that it's literally a sensation in the body. Maybe it's physical, maybe it's emotional, right? And pay attention to where you're feeling it most. Maybe you're feeling some kind of constriction. Oftentimes you may feel it just as an overall tension running through the entire body, all over your skin even, right? So now just feel it. Just feel it. It's a sensation. And do it as best you can. Try to feel it. And notice that your mind wants to say, we don't want to feel this. I got to get away from this. How can we fix this? And just say, thank you. I don't need you right now. And just feel. This isn't a time for strategizing how to get rid of, because if the anxiety is actually coming from something that happened in the past, you can't do anything about it now anyway. And if it's an anxiety about something that might happen in the future, you can't do anything about it. You might as well not think about it because there's nothing you can do. So just feel. And some of you, maybe all of you may notice that just the act of allowing yourself to feel it has an effect, a calming effect. Because you're not fighting anymore. You're not in conflict. Now let's just do this. I want you to put your hand, feel your collarbone. Put that finger right on the collarbone and you feel the soft spot right underneath. I want you all to just massage that a little bit while you're holding this anxiety. It's a very, very simple thing. This is one of the points, but I'm not tapping yet. So I'm trying to demonstrate what this is about. And now notice that when you're doing that and you're bringing up the anxiety, that there's a different feeling in your body. Because now you've got this threat. Maybe it's from the past, maybe it's in the future, right? Maybe it's that bill you don't know how you're going to pay. But simultaneously, your body is also getting this message, hey, you're okay, you're safe. They're both there at the same time. Can you feel it? Notice that this process, as is inner reconciliation, it's very body-centered. It is not in the mind. The mind is no help here. Yeah, using the mind is, it's like a guy washing a car with his 5-year-old son. I mean, it's cute, but you're going to have to redo it all. All right, let's do an actual round of tapping on this now. Right? Just tap where I tap and say what I say, right? So, even though I have all this anxiety, and I wish I didn't have this anxiety, and I've tried to make it go away, but it doesn't. I totally accept what I'm feeling. I accept that I am feeling it. And I'm open to the possibility that I might just love myself anyway. Even though I've got all this anxiety, and I can't love myself until this anxiety's gone, I'm open to the possibility that I might just be able to love myself anyway. So even though I've got all this anxiety, I totally acknowledge that I'm feeling this. And I have no idea what to do about it. And I love myself anyway. At least I'm open to it. Let's tap to this point. Just follow, tap where I tap, say what I say. All this anxiety, this horrible thing that might happen. I mean, it happened in the past. It's probably going to happen in the future. Totally accept this anxiety. Obviously, my body needs to be alert, ready for anything. You just never know when it's all going to go to hell in a handbasket. All this anxiety, all this fear, all these expectations of bad things, a future I'm uncertain of. These bad things could happen. I totally accept everything I'm feeling. I don't want to accept what I'm feeling, but I totally accept that I am feeling it. All right, now stop, take a deep breath. Just let that settle for a second. I forgot to actually do the SUDS thing, the subjective units of distress, or just how high a level, 0 to 10, how high is your anxiety? It's a way of being able to go, oh, it's gone from an 8 to a 6. Right? But just everybody check in right now into your body. And whatever it was you had anxiety about, bring it to mind and then just feel it again and see what happened. And just notice if there's any difference. Most of the time there will be. If there isn't, don't worry. The message is getting in. Right? I've actually been in sessions with people and it's gone for like 55 minutes. I'm thinking, okay, this game's going into overtime. And all of a sudden, like, boom, it's gone.
Yes.
So be very patient about this, because this is a deep transformation that's coming about. This isn't about just fixing what you figuring out how to get rid of the thing you think is causing the anxiety. It's disarming the mechanism that is in a state of anxiety. And of course, if you're not in anxiety, you're more creative, you're more resourceful, you're much better capable of dealing with something that comes up. Right? And you get to feel safe now. Not later. The thing about anxiety is that even when you are safe, you don't get to feel it because you're anticipating what might go wrong. So we never feel safe.
Oh, that is so true. I have to tell you, JP, that was beautiful. Even for I had to put myself on mute. Sorry, Lucy was reacting.
We heard her.
Oh, did you? I muted it though. Oh no, yeah, okay. So as they're tapping, the thing for I think a lot of people is think, okay, great, I'm going to tap, and they don't know what to say. And so it's so helpful for when you were going through that, because when you had said something like, this has happened before and I made it through, that actually was a big turning for me. I was like, yeah, that's right. This thing that I was having anxiety around is like, actually, yes, I've had that happen before and I made it. So it reminded me of a safer place that I was once safe. And I could do it. And I think that having, when we just don't know what to say, because I would have said something probably not as helpful as what you just said. So as you're doing the words, it's really helpful to be guided along and doing it.
It's helpful. Yeah. And, somebody who does this, who has mastered the skill to be able to do it at a level of a teacher or a practitioner of it, um, then yeah, I mean, that's what you get good at. You get good at sensing what people need, what words to use when. But there's some tricks. You just pick up on what people say. If you're working with somebody, you just pick up on whatever they tell you the stories. You use their language. You make it as easy as possible for that message to get in by even mirroring what they're saying back to them and things like that. So there's little techniques you can use to help do it. But the basic idea, if you're doing it by yourself, is to just voice whatever you're feeling.
Right.
And you know what? Sometimes you don't even have to say a word. If you're feeling anxious, to go, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling anxious. The benefit of being able to say something is it helps focus attention. Because if you're not saying anything and you're doing this, remember the natural tendency is to want to get away from the anxiety. Okay. But if you're like, okay, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm feeling this anxiousness, the focus remains there. And that's all you have to do. Just, I call it the coming clean, right? You're just saying what's here. I'm scared shitless, right? I'm unhappy. I hate this guy, right? He's such an ass. It doesn't matter what it is. It's honest, right? Because the very act that you're tapping and saying it means you're looking for freedom. You're looking for the freedom from suffering, right? And you're doing what you can to help the system return to its native state that isn't suffering. It's the flow. Right. So let's just do another round here. Because what I like to do is I like to open it up. I'll just do it very, very quickly.
Sure.
Right. Because I go through phases in it, because I don't want to leave somebody to say, oh, my life sucks, I hate everything, I'm totally anxious. Right. Yeah. But even though at this point it's come down a bit. So I'm just going to skip this because we're running out of time. So let's just start tapping here. I have all this anxiety. It's running through my body. I don't know what to do with it. But I'm open to the possibility that this could be surprisingly easy. What if I could feel safe, even if I do have a troubling circumstance? Is it possible to feel safe and be free at the same time? Maybe it's not. But if it isn't, I totally accept it. If it has to be this way, I accept it. What can I do? It's the truth. It holds all the cards. But if it doesn't have to be this way, I totally accept that. I want that. I want to be free of anxiety. Of course I do. I'm not stupid. I'm just going to ask my nervous system to open up a bit. Is it possible we don't need this high alert? Is it possible for us to be really alert and aware and also calm and relaxed at the same time? It's not possible, I accept it. But if it is possible, I want it. I'm just going to ask my nervous system to find out. Let's just find out the truth. That's all I'm asking. And I know you can do this for me. Thank you for taking such good care of me all these years.
Thank you for taking such good care of me all these years.
Thank you. I love you.
Thank you.
Everybody take a deep breath. Just notice, again, let your attention be on the feelings. Does safety feel more distant or less now?
Mm.
So the tapping contributes to an overall environment of self-love, which I call inner reconciliation. Right? You're removing all of the conflicts you have with yourself. And when you remove the conflict, what happens? Right? In order to have an inner conflict, you have to have two. If you aren't fighting anymore, there's no conflict. And if there's no conflict, what does the nervous system do? Drops out of defense. If you're feeling a sense of calm and relaxation, or you've yawned or something, that's what it feels like when your body drops out of defense.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Okay. It is. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Oh, I love what you said about, is it possible to be in a high state of alert and awareness and safe and
calm,
at the same
calm,
time,
and peaceful at the same time.
peaceful?
Yes.
Because for me,
Yeah.
I am, and I thought I was lying to myself, but I was like, oh, it is possible. I'm aware that it
It's very
happens.
possible. It's very possible. I love to use the example of the mule deers. When I lived in New Mexico, I'd sit out on the deck. It was very quiet and didn't move at all. There was a family of mule deers that come by and drink the water, eat some stuff. And mule deers are they have these huge ears, right? They're like rabbit. I mean, they're huge.
Wow.
Right? And they'll be chomping away, they'll be drinking the water, and the entire time their ears are doing this, like a radar, right? The tiniest little sound, and it's like, okay, alert and aware, calm and peaceful at the same time. The alertness, it hears something, predator, threat, opportunity. No, water. That is our nervous system. The nervous system, it's an animal.
Yes. Wow. It's like an introduction. Thanks for introducing us to our nervous system.
Yes, think of your nervous system as a mule deer.
Yes, yeah. We rub our tummy and pat our heads at the same
Yeah,
time.
that's right. I can do that. Yes. As a drummer for all those years, I can do it.
Yes. That's a helpful thing to do. Wow. I do have a sense of such a calmness, and I've seen that other people are as well. And to answer your question, Jay, yes, there are so many beautiful videos. GP, you've done quite a few EFT videos.
And I'm starting a whole new series of them and new workshops. There's going to be a lot of focus over the next 6 months on tapping. So, and I'll be doing another training for those who want to learn how to, take it to the next level and learn how to do it for others. I'll be doing that training again as well in the next year.
Yes.
So.
One question I have to scooch back to, because from Werner, is there much benefit for tapping lists of difficult memories?
No,
okay, good.
none. No. That's the mind trying to organize it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do this, and we're gonna tap on this now, and now we're gonna tap on this. What's here now? That's all you have to worry about. That's why it is so simple. What are you feeling now? What's not working in your life now? Think of it, and what are you feeling now? You never have to deal with anything unless the nervous system presents it to you. I don't analyze, I don't question, I don't do past life regressions. Just, what are you feeling? And we work with that feeling. We articulate the feeling, and you'll watch it shift. You'll watch the energy, and all of a sudden you may have a memory when you're 7 years old, or you may have a memory from a past life, right? Or it may just disappear, or just a feeling something will come into your body, or you'll start to shiver because you're so cold. I mean, it can manifest itself in countless number of ways, right? And all you have to do is just follow it. You don't have to anticipate. You don't need to use your mind other than to pay attention and follow the lead. Look, I don't care how smart you are, you can even use a supercomputer. The variables are so vast that there's just no way we can figure out why something is the way it is. So why don't we ask the part of us that already knows what it is and doesn't have to figure it out? Right? We get so much in the mind and we think, I've got to figure. No, you don't. Whatever it is that's stuck knows why it's stuck. And it knows what it will take in order for it to get unstuck. You don't have to figure it out. You create the environment, it'll do the rest. You don't grow plants. You create a garden, you plant the seed, and you take care of the garden. The plant does the rest.
Wow. I was talking about plants and gardens this morning with some of our lovely people here. Oh, that's right. We don't kill plants. Well, we can present an environment which they cannot.
Oops,
you know.
sorry.
Yeah, that caught my attention. Oh, that is so. So what I feel like today was so, and that's fun. It's 1:11 in my world. Is that it's the environment. We want to create a safe environment, and this is what we're using. We're using emotional, energy techniques, and this is the tapping. We invite you to see other videos that you have. I love the Power of Touch, which is a free introduction video that GP does. And that one actually, well, I don't know that we have an actual link for that one, or just go to the site gpwalsh.com, tour around in there.
Well, that one they have to go to Thinkific. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But they'll find that if they go to the shop's not up because I haven't taken down the site, the page with the Cyber Monday and Black Friday stuff. So the shop is up. It's just Thinkific. It's gpwalsh.thinkific.com. I'll put it in the comments. It should show up.
That's a fun place to
it should show up in Walsh.
And you're making this so simple, and if everybody can walk away with this today, and thank you so much for joining us, and we can always go back and kind of go through. Perfect. We can go through some of the comments and things that we missed, but is that everybody here can do this. It's free. You don't need anything other than your willingness to ask the question and to feel, and you don't have to prepare. You don't have to make lists. You don't have any expectations. You don't have to fix. You can't fail. It's so good.
Yeah. You can't screw this up. I've tried. I tried.
Yes. So this is, if you're thinking of anything, if you need any assistance, please just put a message here, and we can guide you, show you, help you out, whichever it is. But I'm really happy that we did. I feel like I've just had a session. I've learned so much in the last hour now, and thank you so much, GP, for doing this and always showing up and loving us for where we are, just where we are.
Yeah, well, we're all the same stuff.
Right.
It's like,
well, let's
you got bent one way, I got bent another way. But we're all,
that's right.
We're all bent. We're all bozos on this bus. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, everybody, let's all work together and just allow for the energy to flow in a healthy way into the beautiful, the right channels, our natural channels. Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Love you all.
Bye-bye.